UN investigators believe that toxic chemicals have been used in at least 4 attacks in Syria's civil war, but there is not enough evidence to determine the precise substance or users. A report to the UN Human Rights Council on Syria's violations has accused both sides of committing war crimes. The government forces are accused of committing torture, rape, forcible displacement, and enforced disappearance. The rebel forces are accused of sentencing, executing, committing torture, taking hostages, and pillaging. The report warned that the transfer of arms would increase the risk of violations and lead to more civilian deaths and injuries. There are allegations of government forces using chemical weapons in 4 instances, but it's possible for rebels to be using them too. War crimes and crimes against humanity have been a daily thing in Syria. The number of victims have soared tremendously. There is a cost to the new availability of weapons. Syrian soldiers were reportedly killed and injured from these new chemical weapons. However, rebels blame Syrian forces. The UN is insisting on an investigation, but Syria has refused to allow the team into its country. If the use of chemical weapons is confirmed, it would escalate an international response. More than 7,000 people have died since the war began 2 years ago. Barack Obama said the use of chemical weapons would be a red line, but the administration is still looking for conclusive evidence. We need to stop this. Continuing war in Syria demands our help. With the GNO's attention and funds, we can put an end to Syria's civil war, along with civilian deaths and injuries. Thank you.
After North Korean ruler Kim Jong-il's death in December of 2011, his son Kim Jong-un, who at the time was 28, took his position in office as the new supreme ruler of North Korea. Since then, he has been building up North Korea's dismal nuclear arsenal, and since he is such a loose cannon, it is not safe to have these weapons of mass destruction in the hands of such a man, because whether describing his meeting with Obama and Yoon-hee as a prelude to war, or threatening to turn the capitals of both South Korea and, more importantly, the United States into a sea of flames, this bombastic leader's exorbitant rhetoric continues to skyrocket, and the art of crisis escalation seems to have become a routine chore for the leadership in Pyongyang. North Korea's propaganda machine seems to be turning out more and more material to prepare the country for a war, with the North Korean Central News Agency using words like nuclear and war much more often than the terms opposite of that, such as peace and disarmament. In the past, North Korea's nuclear rhetoric was about as predictable as the tide, aggressive yet with margin for error to pull out before the war actually started. Very much the tactic of barking but not necessarily having to bite. Kim Jong-il is extremely masterful at this tactic, using rhetoric and threats to get what it wants for peace negotiations. It is an extremely clever concept that Kim Jong-un has not quite mastered yet. When Il used vague threats with a sure way out, even coming to saying that he thought well of the United States, Un has opted for rash escalation, with very little in the way of getting out. He most recently has threatened the United States with an official government propaganda video showing the Capitol building engulfed in flames and the White House in a crosshairs. What no one knows as of yet, though, is why Kim Jong-un would do this. While Kim Jong-un would use his rhetoric to take goods and support from the West, Kim Jong-un's rhetoric is much less clear. As shown by the recent North Korean missile launches, Un is definitely willing to push the envelope much further than his father by being much more militarily proactive than his provocative than it. For NGO, I'm John Harbinson. Thank you.